Well, good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever it is for you. For me, it's about 1 o'clock on a beautiful Saturday afternoon here in glorious uptown Kyiv. And we're going for a walk. Hey, Derek Sands, how you doing, buddy? Nice to see you. How's the signal? Am I lagging? Am I coming through loud and clear? Oh man, I forgot the headset. That's got a wind guard on the microphone. Hey, Raven. How you doing? How's the signal, guys? Are we breaking up? Are we good? Hi, guys. Say hi.
Have a nice day.
Ukrainians, right?
Yeah.
You gotta love them. Signal's good, guy? I noticed none of your avatars are rendering. Hey, Kath Brown. Hey, Bernard. What's going on? Thanks a lot, guy. You know, I forgot to budget for the international calling plan I'm going to need when I go to Sofia next week. And when you sent that, I thought, that's 3 days worth of the calling plan. Thanks, buddy. Really appreciate it. Hey, Marius. So, Marius, that's a great question. Because, you know, last night we saw over 600 aerial targets come into the country. Last night, 3 months ago, right? Just now, think about this. Just 3 months ago, last night's missile and drone attack on Ukraine would have been the biggest in the history of the war. Now, it barely squeaks into the top 5 with over 600 aerial targets. 30 missiles? I want to say 30 missiles and 579 drones. 579 drones, of which the Ukrainian armed forces shot down 552. That's a 95% interception rate. Think of the expense, the time, and to have it defeated so handily by the Ukrainians. The missile interception rate was exceptional, 77.5%. When you're talking about cruise and ballistic missiles, that's a good interception rate for anybody's army, let alone an army that's had to be built in the crucible of an ongoing war. Here, you know what? Let me turn the camera around so you can see the neighborhood here. I am going down a street I've never been down, and I don't really know where I'm going. I'm just kind of walking. But here, there's a great example of post-World War II reconstruction on my right here. Let me show this to you. The majority of these, now I'm not sure, right, but as I understand it, the majority of these gold brick buildings in the city were built as part of the World War II reconstruction. All over town, there are examples of post-revolutionary construction, post-World War II construction. This town has been bombarded over and over again through history. And that's going to go on for a while yet, it looks like. But last night I'm in Kyiv. I'm in glorious uptown Kyiv here, Ukraine. And we're headed over to the Aresenalya metro station. Yeah, right? Not in the least. I mean, the town's a very modern town. And of course, it's Europe. People are out, getting a coffee, doing the grocery shopping. It's Saturday morning. The crows got into that. Let's see, what's the best way to go here? If you take a look, okay, now over here, So yeah, last night was bad. We didn't feel it here in Kyiv the way that other parts of the country did. Kyiv was not the main target. Now see those balustrades there? Those heavy concrete ones? They look old, but I'm not sure that they are. There was a period of reconstruction here where those were very popular, and they're not the originals. They were added as ornamentals, and I'm not sure that that's original. I'm gonna go this way, because this looks like a nicer block to go down. Gosh, I don't have any idea what that is. That round building? There's a nice modern high-rise over there. Apartment and office complexes. Here's a 1990s. See this place? That's all 1990s. Hey, Aresenalya. Long time no see. How you living? Let me take a look here. Right, Lisa? It's a great town. Very cosmopolitan, Julian. Very cosmopolitan. Bernard, I think you're right. I think when Bernard says that the Ukrainians have turned the tables on the Russians, I think he's absolutely right. The momentum, the tide of the war does seem to be shifting increasingly in Ukraine's favor. And let's make it clear, that's not an accident, right? That is the hard work, the dedication, the innovation, and the fierceness of the Ukrainian people. It's just that simple. You know, I was reporting on strikes on railroad hubs, right? You know, every week for the last 8 weeks or so, there'd be a strike on a railroad hub, strike on a railroad hub. It's only now, because hindsight is 2020, that it's becoming apparent that that campaign has struck all 16 of the critical railroad hub junctions in Western Russia. The idea of Ukraine slowing down or interfering with Russian logistics is no longer a matter of conjecture, but rather it is an unfolding strategy that we see playing out and having critical impact. You delay the reserves that need to get to Pokrovsk so you can continue your offensive, and they don't get there. What happens? That offensive grinds to a halt. And then we get into the situation that we're in now, where the offensive is being reversed. The news now look. Right, exactly. The Russians depend on railroad logistics for everything. And taking those out are having an effect. The news coming out of Pokrovsk is increasingly good. They're talking now about having liberated between Pokrovsk and Sumy 160 square kilometers, about 60 square miles, in just the last 10 days or so. Oh, what the hell is that? Look at that. That is freaking cool. I don't know what it is. Let's see. There's no name on it. Look at the trailer hitch. That's awesome. That is cool. It might be a Zap, one of the cars that they make natively in Zaporizhia. So, this whole notion, the whole conjecture that the Ukrainians were going after logistics is no longer conjecture. The strategy is playing out clearly before our eyes. 16 key railroad hubs damaged or destroyed in the last 8 weeks, 12 weeks maybe, could be 12 weeks, are now playing. The knock-on effects of that are playing out very clearly on the battlefield. And we're seeing it in the Pokrovsk direction, we're seeing it in the Sumy direction, we're seeing it in the where else? I just saw they just took another village and carved out a section of the advance somewhere up along the Crimea line. Now, that's not to say that there aren't problems in Kupiansk right now. There are. There's real problems in Kupiansk. The Russians are pushing very hard there. And they've brought in reservists from other places. Now the knock-on effects of that, I am waiting to see how that all plays out. Because in order to support the Pokrovsk offensive, they have had to pull the 810th Naval Infantry Brigade, right, Russian Marines, out of Kursk. They've had to pull out troops from Kherson and Crimea. They are hollowing out their own defenses in these other regions. What's going to be the knock-on effect of that? And I keep looking down. I keep watching. Down in Kherson, in Crimea, all of these activities on the Tendrivka spit, on the Kinburn spit, and then there's one other spit. The Ukrainians keep going in there and knocking out any equipment, radars, air defense units, and sinking patrol boats. And I can't help but wonder if we're going to see the Ukrainians do a amphibious landing across the Dnipro, clean out Kherson, and cut the land bridge to Crimea. That would be the time then to take out the Kerch Bridge and let the siege of Crimea begin in real earnest. And that's something that I think we might see. Now just look at, it's really a great town, I'll tell you. A lot of style. No, they'll do a Ukrainian landing. I don't understand what that means, Kevin. What's a Ukrainian landing? Paul, Ukraine for the win. Hey, Tisno. That's not a lot of that's technology. Keep naming fake places. Ooh. Oleshki is a target. I don't know that that's where they would land. I mean, I don't know anything. I mean, I'm just speculating, right? You never heard of any of those places? Well, shit. You must really be following the war closely then. If you've never heard of Kherson or Zaporizhia. Hey, Mark Montgomery. It's bad in Kherson. Drones, mortars, glide bombs daily. Yeah, Jennifer. Kherson is bad. You know, that's where, of course, the Russian drone battalions... Here, hang on for 1 second. I'm going to stop for just a second and answer some questions. That is, of course, where the Russian drone battalions are training new drone operators by hunting civilians in Kherson. The human safari, the war crime of the human safari that has been used as a training exercise for these young men is not only a war crime and an obscenity, but it is a crime against nature itself. Hey, DJ. Hey, Steve Kennedy. Yeah, Jennifer, they're hunting people. Now, my buddy Tony was just down there, and he had a rough time. And this is a guy who regularly drives within artillery range of the enemy. but according to him, it was the hardest trip that he's had yet. I was in Kherson for a couple days last year, and because the Russians are only on the other side of the river, right, just about 2 kilometers away, you're well within shelling distance. And so the Russians are systematically shelling Kherson block by block out of existence. That's still going on. Now the Ukrainians, for their part, they did. I don't want to call it a carpet bombing. It wasn't a carpet bombing, but they went in, focused drones, and smashed a number of the Russian positions that were just on the other side of the river, and took out a bunch of those drone operators. We saw AASM hammers. That's the French precision-guided munition launched from Ukrainian MiG-29s. We saw them slam a couple of different drone operator headquarters in Kherson, about 6 and 4 weeks ago or so. Some nice morning glories here. Roses are everywhere in this city. Okay, let me slip this back around so you don't have to look at me. You can check out some of the city. Oh, hold on, sorry. There we go. Okay, now this is one of the things that concerns me deeply about the future recovery of the city and some of the hurdles that are going to have to be overcome here. It's all of these building projects that got put on hold at the start of the full-scale invasion and have been sitting with their guts exposed to the elements for now going on 4 years. Are you going to be able to finish that building? Is it a total write-off at this point? I don't know. And there's hundreds of examples of this around. When I first arrived, I counted well over 100 sky cranes just in downtown Kyiv from my hotel balcony. Boy, look at that place. If I had to guess, I'd say that's pre-revolution there. Right, now just look here, you have this wonderful dichotomy, right? Pre-revolution building, so 1917 or before, and then you have that modern, probably 90s office apartment complex space, and then the delayed hope for the future in the skeletal remains of this abandoned project. Abandoned, of course, because of the full-scale invasion. Over there, you've got a little bit of the industrial history of this part of town. You can see the smokestack there, if anybody wants to geolocate me. I don't know what's going on behind there, but it looks like there's trees growing up, so probably not much. Probably another abandoned. Hey, does anybody know what these are? I always wondered. Dad had some of these growing out the back of the house. Does anybody know what these are? They're a shrub with a white berry. Comes in the autumn. Is that eucalyptus? Get out of here. Is it really? There's probably lots of varieties of eucalyptus, right? Now, I'll tell you, to be honest, right, this is one of the things that's hard to get used to here. Our color schemes. Eastern Europe has a penchant for busyness that I will never get used to. Busyness and bright color. You should see some of the apartments that I've been in, that belong to friends. Holy cow. You want to talk about clash-orama. We are in beautiful uptown Kyiv, Ukraine. I'm headed over to the Aresenalya metro station. At 2:30, I'm meeting one of my colleagues, Tatiana, from Laughter is the Best Medicine. And we're going to do a little rehearsal for our upcoming show on October 4th, which I'm looking forward to. Well, Paul, it's not just one man's ideology. Come on. The entire culture of the Russian Empire is built on murder, theft, and rape. It's a culture. There's 1 million men engaged in this war right now, committing those crimes on behalf of this ideology. No, it's not one man. It's systemic. If you know Steve Rosenberg's work, thanks, Life is an Illusion. If you know, chosen by sophomores, right? If you know the work of Steve Rosenberg from the BBC, he's the Russia editor for the BBC. He lives in Moscow. And he does great work. Oh, here, let me show you this mural. And he was just out in Vladivostok interviewing locals. And let me tell you, everybody is on board for this war. It's not some mission of the elites, which is a word that I hate, by the way, and I don't usually use it. But it's not a single man's ideology, is the point I'm making. So, now you can see, let's see if there's a date on this mural. This is by B.K. Fox, Rise Up in the Dirt, but no year. Funny that those letters are in Latin, isn't it? In Latin script. Very, very funny to me. But it's everywhere here. You know, as a person who doesn't read Cyrillic, after the war, I would encourage you to come see this town. You'll be able to get around. Right, now there's a message of hope springing up out of the dirt and the mess and the muck. Oh, it's the police station. You'll notice police is in both Cyrillic and in Latin letters. Can you see the roses? That looks like some government building. Now that's a great example of kind of brutalist, Stalinist architecture from that period, or in the style thereof. But then look outside. They love their roses here. And there's roses everywhere in this city. For those of you that were with me on the walking tour of the Rose Alley, you got to see that. Yeah, there's murals all over this town. There's art around every corner. As a matter of fact, there's some coming up here I can show you. What airspace is Russia violating today? That's a great question. Because in the, 8 days that it's been since we heard from the Sakur and Mark Rutte, the Secretary General of NATO, in the 8 days since then, we have seen incursions into both Romania and in Poland, or I'm sorry, Estonia, with the Estonia incursion being the absolute most, what's the word I'm looking for? Not ballsy, not obnoxious, not out of line. All of those in one word, if I could just find it. It was certainly the most reckless provocation that we have seen yet. 3 MiG-31s armed with Kinzhal hypersonic missiles entered the airspace of Estonia yesterday. They remained doing just flying in circles for 12 minutes before they were intercepted by Estonian, I want to say F-35s, but they might have been F-16s, by Estonian Air Force. and escorted to the border and away. On the subject of roses, nice little garden on the corner here. Somebody's taking care of it. Egregious. Egregious, Kabul. Exactly. Egregious. Were they Italian F-35s? From NATO then, not Estonian. Thanks, Paul. Estonia, of course, invoked Article 4 and called for consultation with their NATO allies. That is only the 9th time in NATO history that Article 4 has been invoked. So that should tell you, and that's twice in a week, because the Poles invoked it for the 8th time when 24 drones invaded their airspace. Now again, you may have heard that it was 19. We thought it was 19. The final word from the Poles is that it was 24. 24 Gabera drones, which means they were all decoys. They were all outfitted with extra fuel tanks so they could manage the distance. And we don't have word yet on whether or not they were fitted with Polish or Lithuanian SIM cards. But my guess is that they were. That's the way that they would use the technology to navigate. I'm sorry, what war am I referring to? First time here, Sonny? What about U.S. support for Latvia? I'm not sure what you mean, Dan. Hey, Refurb Man, how you living, brother? Sonny Craig, U.S. Army, 77 Phoenix. Really? You're a military fella. And the discussion of Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, and Ukraine, you can't guess what war we're talking about? Does not make you look good, Sonny. I gotta tell you. Makes you look like a fraud. Trump has been making efforts to weaken NATO since 1988. In his failed run for president in 1988, the day after he announced his campaign, he took out full-page ads in the New York Times and the Washington Post at his own expense at a time when a full-page ad in the New York Times was $1 million and said we should get out of NATO. That was in 1988. 1988. Cafe Amsterdam. Man, I love your town. Love Amsterdam. Man, I should have done this in Amsterdam. I didn't even think of it. These walking tours are new to me. There's another construction project. Not all of these are abandoned. Maybe we'll get lucky and we'll see that crane move. And we'll know that that one's still going up. Hey, Chris. Zappa, you hit it on the head. I mean, for Americans who are wondering, here, Sonny, I'll help you out with this one. In case you're wondering, it's very clear that there has been a coup in the United States of America. The U.S. federal system of government has been subverted by a malign foreign agent in the person of Donald J. Trump. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. Oh, DJ, dude, are you in Amsterdam? Man, the next time I come out, I'm going to hit you up. Now, look at what a charming block to live on. This place, I got to tell you, this is one of the few places where you can get a decent pizza in this town. Absolutely, Sonny. Absolutely. The oligarchs of the United States, the corporate oligarchy, is trying to instill a technocratic regime where they can harvest people for money to put cash in their pockets. Oh, you're in Portugal. Okay. I'd like to get to to Portugal sometime. It's not a Christian nationalist coup. I mean, you're not wrong, Sonny, right? That they are absolutely using the white Christian nationalists as their strongmen, as their thugs, brown shirts, on the streets, in the trenches, to do their will. But there is nothing Christian about this coup. Nothing. That's the worst part. See, that's why I thought that there was no way Trump could get reelected. Because they put it all in a document and published the document where we could all see it. And still, Trump got in. I was in shock. I wasn't in 2016 because I lived in deeply red area of Pennsylvania. And so I was not at all surprised in 2016. But boy, in 2024, I was surprised. I can't believe we did this to ourselves again. The technocrats are real. And one of them, Larry Ellison, apparently just got control of TikTok in the United States. Now, if they can force ABC and Disney to throw Jimmy Kimmel off the air, one of the highest rated late night talk shows there is, a source of genuine income, with AI-powered algorithms on TikTok, X, Twitter, they'll be able to silence everybody, and they won't even have to pay anybody to do it. It'll be nothing but cartwheel videos and TikTok ice bucket challenges or whatever. What do you mean they didn't force him to get off the air, A5150? I mean, what does that mean? He's a tool to manipulate the machine. Oh yeah, TikTok's bad. It's hard here. Uh, 3 million people a night tuning in to see you is not doing bad. You can make a lot of money selling advertising to such a show. A 520 is a... I don't know what that means. Do you mean D-O-U-C-H-E? In the French sense or in the American sense? So I'm going to address A5150's bullshit here for a second. Anybody who thinks that the chairman of the FCC saying in a live broadcast that we can do this the easy way or the hard way isn't the federal government exercising censorship over private media is a naive fool or a tool of this coup. That's all there is to it. American, oh, okay. I don't know who 520 is. I don't know, I'm missing something there. I am dive hard. Dude, one of these days I'm going to be in good enough shape to go diving with you someplace. I don't think I could take the cold of the water where you live, but maybe we could meet in the Mediterranean, like in Greece someplace. Yep, flying disc fanatic. We were just talking about that. Wait, there was something I wanted to go back to. Zappa said capitalists have to maintain a united front. And I agree, and I understand what you're saying, right? You're talking about the billionaires sticking together. But you have to remember that a capitalist market is composed not just of those who control the means of production, but by the consumers as well. The first thing that I did was cancel my Disney Plus subscription. I voted with my wallet. You want to cave to this censorship, this kind of censorship, well then you know what, I'm not spending any money with you. And now we're seeing millions of Americans do the same and boycott Disney and ABC and ESPN and Hulu and all of their associated properties. We have it in our pockets, the ability to respond to these attacks on our rights and sovereignty. That's a real thing, a real power that the American people have. And it is good to see it being exercised. Then you have the late night hosts themselves all getting together to support Kimmel. And I'll tell you, those guys are a force to be reckoned with. They're going to be very helpful in this thing, in my opinion. Boy, I love these towers. You see this tower over here? I love these towers on the tops of these buildings. I've been in a few. And they tend to be these charming, cozy little spaces, usually dedicated to some purpose that the family has dedicated them to, either as a kind of a green room that is a sunroom, or a library. I was in one that was a library. Hey, hold on for a second. There's nobody around, right? Ha! Can you hear that echo? Ha! Ha 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 ha. Ha! That's fun. Pluralism isn't dead yet. It's only dead if we let it die. It might be on life support. You might be right about that. But it's not dead. Kabul cut off all commercial media and cable. Good for you, pal. Hey, Pingu. What's the difference between Russia and radar? Radar doesn't lie. Hey, Seawolf. How you doing? Sicily. That's someplace I've never been. Dude, that sounds like a date. Hey, Maddie Wright. Nice to see one of the moderators here. Good to have you. Yeah, the weather is fabulous. It's a golden summer is crisping itself into a golden fall. Yeah, Steve, I've been trying to get my steps in. So I've started doing these walking tours of Kyiv. And here we have another great example, right? You can see this pre-revolutionary building here with some Greco-Roman elements to it. And then the failed promise of the early 2020s, a construction project that had to be halted because of the full-scale invasion. And that, frankly, I don't know how they're ever going to resume it. Its guts, its very bones, have been exposed to the elements for nearly 4 years. I don't know how that can be saved. I really don't. And there's hundreds of them around. This city was experiencing a real boom. The country was going through a financial boom when COVID hit first. And then, of course, the war came. So it was a double tap for the people of Ukraine. Somebody's done some art on that tree. Now, I bet if we walked over there, which we're not going to do, I guess we could. Let's see if I'm right. If we walk over there, that's going to be knitting. Somebody knitted that tree. Let's take a look. Let's see. I've seen a bunch of examples of this. Maybe I'm wrong on this one, but I've seen a bunch of examples of this around town. They knit these colorful covers. Well, now, it's not knitting, it's microfiber, so it's resistant to fungus, right? It's good to be outside. But, oh, maybe, yeah, look it. You can see it there. I don't know if that's knitting or crochet, but somebody took a lot of time to do that. Soft as anything. Okay, I want to get on the other side of the street now, don't I? Wait, well, let's go up here and see what's here. I'm not sure where I am. Oh, but from over here we get a great view of this building. Some gardens here. Thanks, Flying Disc. You're pretty awesome too, pal. Oh no, are the Africans all over my videos today? Of course they are. You know why, Lars? I'll tell you why. Thanks, Sonny. I appreciate it. So I had 2 confrontations with Russian trolls this week. One was one of the guys from the new South African bot farm that they hired. And he put something on my page. And I responded like this. I said, you know, when they closed the Ghana bot farm 2 months ago, they stiffed them for 4 months worth of pay. You know you're never going to get paid, right? And that was, there was no further response from him. And then there was another guy, I gave him the address of where he was talking to me from, and he also never responded after that, which I thought was funny. Oh, Kabul, don't get lost in nostalgia. Nostalgia's a poison. But I'll tell you, looking at that building, I have to agree with you, right? I mean, I just love these, the brick arches over the windows, the deep set windows. And I mean, the new stuff is comfortable and functional, and it costs much less to build. Oh, now here, I can give you an example. We were talking before about the balustrades on that one building that I didn't think were period. I think that they were additions to a later build that were supposed to echo the feeling of an earlier time. And I have some great examples of that over here. Now again, take a look at this, right? Maybe not pre-revolution, maybe 1920s. I don't know where to look in this town for cornerstones, or if they even do that here, because I'd like to know. But anyway, look at the wonderful Greek lock and key. I don't know if that's a tile insert, probably a tile insert above those windows. And then up top there, there's some kind of a, what do they call that? A cabochon? A flowery cabochon up there. Or cartouche. Cartouche is probably a better word. Oh yeah, Zappa, that's definitely what it is. There's no doubt about it. Nostalgia isn't what it used to be. That's a great line, man. That's a great line, man. It's got Greek elements to it, right? There's a lot of callbacks to earlier design. A lot of derivative elements. Oh, now here, let's take a look here real quick. I'm going to break the law and cross the street. Jaywalking. But just... So this, as I understand it, this was a post-World War II industrial site that's all been remade as like a mall and shops, right? And then outside of it, you have these wonderful mirrored spheres, right? Can you see me in the mirror there? Right, these wonderful mirrored spheres. They're fun, but that is nothing. There's some sculpture pieces over here I can show you. I'm pretty sure I'm in the right place. One of the great things about these walking tours is that I am getting to know the city a little bit better. This is where I'm headed to. This is Aresenalya metro station. And I'm going to find some kind of outdoor seating where it's a little bit quiet. We can sit down and have a talk. Boy, look at this, though. Take a look at this with me. This... Okay, so this is attached, right? This bit here is attached to that bit there. And we know that that bit there was a post-World War II industrial building. So this must have been part of that as well, despite the fact, take a look at this. I mean, these look like original arrow slits. Like these were built for archers, but they can't be. These were probably just a callback, if you will. Now looking up there, look at those chunks. That looks like shrapnel. All along there. You know, one of the reasons why castle walls were built round, why towers were rounded, was so that cannonballs would bounce off them, right? A cannonball coming at a flat surface impacts that surface. A cannonball coming at a rounded surface will roll as it moves and do less damage. You get a distribution of the force. Okay, now here's very modern building. You can see it there, right? Very clearly, very modern building. But then look at these kind of, I mean, they're reminiscent of Greek columns, right? Ionic columns, or Roman Ionic columns. And that's clearly a new building. So I think that's all just callback. Or nostalgia, borrowing architectural elements from the past. Oh, right. I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong. I was thinking of another place. Here, instead of sculpture, what we have is an old World War II, I think, gun. Might be World War I or Revolution, I'm not sure. Let's see. Now you can see it's a Saturday morning. People are out and about. It's a glorious day. Boy, that looks like a World War I cannon, doesn't it? I'm not sure. Let's see. 1918, there you go. So for us, World War I, for the Ukrainians, probably the revolution more so. That's what was going on here. Okay, let's find a quiet table spot someplace where we can get some coffee, and maybe I can order some lunch when Tatiana gets here. Could be, or the 90s, Julian. You know, a lot of construction went on here during the 90s. Cartouche. Thank you, Maddie Wright. Hey, Avi. How you doing? Oh, probably, you know, Zappa, remotely via AI and online tracking more than anything. I'm not a person that's worth spending the money having somebody follow around. My whole life is online. Why would you have to? No, I'm in Ukraine. Soviet and Nazi Germany produced a sterile and stoic architecture. Zappa, you are not wrong about that. The official name for a lot of that Soviet architecture is brutalist, right? And that's with good reason. Hey, Arna. So, Arn, from this metro station, Aresenalya, to my place, it's exactly 2.4 kilometers. Just like it's exactly 2.4 kilometers from my place to Megamart. So a round trip to any of these places is an even 5 kilometers. And I'm trying to do it every day, man. I'm really determined to hike 15 kilometers through the Norwegian swamps someday with you. Ooh, this place is a little loud and a little crowded. Let's go down here. Let's see. Oh, and look, there's a McDonald's. These places, cherries are a big thing in Ukraine. Ooh, now this would be perfect if I can sit here. Let's try. We'll see if anybody throws us out or if they come and serve us a drink. Whew, shit, that's a heavy chair. Okay. All right, so where are we at, kids? Aresenalya, you know what, PM? That's a great point to make that I should have made. As I understand it, Aresenalya is the deepest metro station in Europe. For a long time, it was the deepest metro station in the world, but if I'm not mistaken, the Chinese just built one deeper. Oops, sorry. Hang on one sec. Yeah, was it the Chinese or the Indonesians? Thanks, Zappa. So, if I'm not mistaken, Aresenalya is 300 meters. That's almost 1,000 feet below ground. These things were built to withstand nuclear strikes, right? That's what they were built for. Maddie, you're a great ambassador. Thank you. Okay, let's turn this around here. It's a beautiful day. It's about 24, maybe 25. I hope so, Maddie. I believe I will be able to. The conference takes up most of the day, but I've got 2 of the days I only have a 3-hour workshop. And so I should be able to get out during the day there. Yeah, duck and cover, Julian. Not the way to go, pal. Not the way to go. When I think about how things are changing, because there's just no doubt that things are changing. One of the principal things that I think about is the Russian logistics. And we have seen now in the last 2 months or so, all 16 major Western Russian railroad hubs damaged or destroyed, delaying an unknown number of trains with reserves, medicine, ammunition, fuel. Fuel trains, of course, have been directly targeted. Ukraine is bleeding Russia dry of fuel. A country, not really a country, right, but rather a gas station with nukes that's cosplaying as a country is now running out of gas. And that is what brought the Germans to their knees at the end of World War II. You cannot prosecute a war if you cannot get your men to the front. You cannot prosecute a war if you cannot get the ammunition to the front. You cannot prosecute a war if your tanks don't have any gas. And the Ukrainians are doing a hell of a job deprecating Russia's ability to prosecute this war. An enemy far greater, far larger than themselves. Well, Sonny, that's a great question. Russia's not doing itself any favors by flying into NATO airspace. I was listening to, what's his name? Craig? Is it Craig? He's a PhD, member of the Atlantic Council. His last name is Lough, spelled L-O-U-G-H. And I apologize, I forget his first name. He was the former NATO envoy to Russia and spent a lot of time in Moscow. This is a guy who understands the enemy. And he made the point that when it came to these incursions into Poland and into Estonia and into Romania, he is absolutely of the opinion that these incursions are intentional in order to scare NATO into spending money and resources on its own defense and cutting off Ukraine. That seems to be, and a lot of analysts agree with him. I wouldn't say everybody, but a lot of analysts do agree with him. There are other opinions out there. There's a guy named Bandera Boss who comments on my videos. And he is convinced that the Russians are trying to bring NATO into the war, which seems absolutely crazy to me. Unless the Russians have decided to go nuclear. Because to bring NATO into the war is to mean the end of Russia, or the end of the war anyway. And the only other option would be the only thing that they have left in their toolkit that they haven't used. Remember what Putin said at the beginning of the war. Remember how he threatened us all with the 3 Fs. He told us we would freeze in our beds. He would cut off the fuel to Europe. He told us that he would bring famine to the world by destroying the food that Ukraine sends out to the world. And then finally, he threatened us with fission. That he would bring fire, nuclear fire from the skies and rain it down on us all if we dared to help Ukraine. And now here we are. And what's really fascinating to me is that everything he wished for Ukraine is coming true for him. They have fuel shortages. In a country where, before the war, 2/3 of their economy were fossil fuels. They're looking at famine. It's like, seriously, in the 21st century, this year the Russians are looking at a starvation economy. Why? Because of a couple of reasons, but one of the big reasons is drought, just simple climate change, driven by the very fossil fuels that their economy is based on, has resulted in 10 oblasts inside of Russia, all of which are major food producers, suffering significant drought. John Lau, thank you, Julian. Julian, if you have his bio up, would you just paste some of his credentials in? Because he's a guy to listen to, in my opinion. And sharing his credentials with everybody would drive that point home. Hey, Lori, how you doing? I'm looking forward to seeing you guys when you're in Kyiv coming up here. Hey, Pedro. Good morning. So they're experiencing the fuel shortage they threatened Europe with. They're experiencing the famine that the harvest in Krasnodar Krai is expected to be down 60% this year. And that's true across at least 10 oblasts of the Russian Federation. Then you have the fuel shortages, which means they may not have the fuel to bring the harvest in to run the tractors. Or if they can't afford it, at least not, and sell their vegetables at a profit. So 2 of the 3 things that Putin wished on Europe have come true for Russia: famine and fuel. The only one left is fission. And the reality, of course, of the Russian nuclear stockpile is that none of us know what kind of condition it's in. The general consensus among most analysts is that absolutely none of the tactical stockpile works. That you can forget about that. That's not a concern. The threat of using tactical nukes in Ukraine is not a threat because they don't have any, in all likelihood. The question of the strategic stockpile is a different matter. Some of those, certainly the 1,755 deployed strategic nuclear arms, likely do work, likely have been maintained. And that's enough nukes to do a lot of damage. Let's look. John Lau began his career as an analyst at the Soviet Studies, 6 years at NATO. First Atlantic Council person to be based in Moscow. Right, this is what I'm talking about. Thank you, Julian, very much. This is a guy who understands the enemy. He is a particularly rational, calm, analytic person. And I think he's got it right. Pedro the Amigo is here to tell us that he's found a hack against aging and has noticed that after multi-day drinking, all wrinkles disappear because you're so puffy. Thanks, Julian. The Flying Dutch Mom is here. Willkommen. Okay. Karma is a bitch, baby. Fuel, famine, fission. It's a crazy thing to say, and nobody should listen to me. But I think all three are coming to Russia. I really do. Good morning, UK. How's everybody in the UK today? So questions, comments, points of observation, personal need, anything from anybody about anything. Boy, nobody's come to offer me a coffee. I guess you have to go inside. What's the name of this place? Oh, Rabernia. The place I'm in is called Rabernia, which means ribs. You guys know I'm a big fan of the ribs. These guys have another location down in Podil that I've been in before. They have good ribs. For good barbecue in Kyiv, Rabernia is a place to go, definitely. Blue Ariel Silk, I'm over by the Aresenalya metro station. Here, let me turn the camera around for a minute. I'll show you this. Well, that's what I'm saying. I disagree with the people who say that that's why he's doing this. But I think it's important to represent different viewpoints, right? So it's fair to say that there are analysts who have suggested that Putin is trying to bring NATO in, but in such a way as NATO appears to be the aggressor, right? That's the thinking. And I agree, and I disagree with that analysis. But the idea was mentioned, and so I felt the need to talk about it. But if you take a look over there, there's some dancing fountains. It's end of summer, beginning of fall. It's a warm day. And I don't know if you can see the kids are jumping in the fountains. It's great. Civilization, baby. Civilization. And then opposed to civilization, opposed to children playing in fountains, are the sons of bitches that would drop bombs on them in the middle of the day. Julian, that's a great way to put it. Kyiv is a beacon of democracy and hope, especially in this dark time for the United States, when the United States is not the beacon anymore, when the United States has turned its back on our basic democratic values, on our allies, spit in the faces of our allies. It's obscene. It's absolutely obscene. Oh, makes me crazy. Your brother was lucky, and their plane had just landed when hackers hit the airports. Oh, interesting. Was that in February of 2022, Pedro? Sonny, when we look, so Sonny's question is about how will winter affect the war? And when we look at last winter, Russian losses every day consistently were in excess of 1,000 men a day. Now, you can't lose 1,000 men a day and have a stagnant condition. So it's the front line may stagnate. There may not be much movement, But the idea that the war will stop or stagnate is most definitely not correct. It'll be a lot harder to move around. I mean, honestly, Sonny, I'll tell you, I don't think the Russians can survive the cold at this point. I think they're going to have a real hard time when the cold comes. They're having a hard enough time in the summer. Disney has taken a big financial hit. Yeah. Oh, I forgot about the cruises. That's a big deal online right now. Everybody's canceling their Disney cruise, which is great to see. I mean, yeah, punish them. Punish. I did what I could do, right? I canceled Disney Plus. That's my only business with Disney these days. But no, this cannot be permitted. In a capitalist economy, it is absolutely your right as a citizen to vote with your wallet. And if you want to vote against Disney caving to a fascist wannabe dictator who wants to eliminate free speech, then by all means, vote with your wallet. Oh, today. This was today. Germany. So hybrid warfare continues. Now, I can't comment on this because I don't know anything about it. But according to our buddy Pugga Mahone, oh no, this is Pedro the Amigo, sorry. So according to our buddy Pedro, Germany and multiple country airports were attacked by hackers today. Gosh, I wonder who it could be. Who is waging a hybrid warfare and keeps getting away with everything they do? Russian stagnation won't hold long. It's already being pushed back. I think we are going to, when it gets cold, not now, but the wins, the incremental gains that the Ukrainians are making now in Sumy and in Tedkino and in Pokrovsk will turn into a wave, a tidal wave of righteous Ukrainian wrath that will wipe the occupiers all the way back to the hard defensive lines in the Donbass. I don't think to Russia, except maybe in Luhansk, maybe in Zaporizhia and Kherson. But we'll see. We'll see. Nobody knows. Anybody who tells you they know is a liar. The worst Russian Federation day of personnel losses was over 2,000 in a day, says Lars. I want to say it was more than that. I want to say it was like 2,300. But you're right, Lars. It was over 2,000 in one day. No water, no heat. No fuel means no heat. Right now, for various reasons, the incompetence of the administration in the temporarily occupied territories and the drought, water is as scarce as hen's teeth in Donetsk right now. Donetsk city, a city like this, a modern city. People can't take a shower. ABC, Hulu, ESPN, HBO Max, Disney, they are all properties of, who's the parent company? Capital Cities. They should all be boycotted. DJ, we're not going to get an Article 5. It's just not. If it hasn't happened yet, I can't see it happening. Oktoberfest, it's only September. Does Oktoberfest happen in September? That is mind-blowing to me, if that's true. Get the fuck out of here. Oktoberfest happens in September. Netflix is doing well. Okay, so Steve Kennedy is saying that it's one check-in system, one flight check-in system owned by one company. Okay. That will cause major disruptions. if it's the right check-in system, right? Hello, Romania. I'm with you, DJ. The tide is turning. Roberto Clement, how you doing? Hey, Louise. Hey, Parda. Russia is big and powerful. 1 in 5 Russians don't have an indoor toilet. That is a fact. I don't think Paramount. Paramount owns NBC. Maddie. Paramount owns NBC. The first day of Oktoberfest is September 20th, huh? Interesting. Sonny, I couldn't agree more. Trump is a Russian asset. How difficult is it for Ukraine's long-range drones to hit the refineries? Jacob, I'm not really qualified to answer that question. However hard it is, they manage it twice a week these days. You know, Refurb Man makes an excellent point. In the last week, we have seen two NATO countries invoke Article 4. Article 4 has now been invoked a total of 9 times, with 2 of those being in the last week. That says that the pressure is on. I don't know the answer to that, Jacob. We don't get good data from the Russians, and the Ukrainians don't tell us anything. So it's very difficult to say how many drones they have to send in order for them to actually make a hit. Could it be 2 to 5? Like for every 5 they send, 2 make it? It could be. For all I know, it's 10 to 1, right? For every 10 they send, only 1 hits. I don't know. And I don't have a good source of data for that. I'm sorry. Do not forget about Coca-Cola boycott. What did Coca-Cola do? I mean, not that I drink Coca-Cola. I haven't drunk Coca-Cola since I was a teenager. But I don't know what Coca-Cola did to deserve a boycott. Hey, G2, how you doing, buddy? Well, you know, defying Dutch Mom, you make a great point, right? Like, we're lucky that we have the internet so we can learn these things. I mean, just look. In this one little chat, right, there's 100 people from around the world. Everybody from California to Australia, to Georgia, to the Netherlands, to the UK. We're all here, and we can all talk about it. And that is amazing. But let's not forget that it was Russia's manipulation of online reality that led to the rise of Donald Trump and popular fascist movements around the world. Because suddenly these assholes could talk to each other, and they thought that there were lots and lots of people out there like them. Lars makes an excellent point. Only a direct attack from the Russian Federation will trigger Article 5, and it will be a measured response. I don't think Paramount has anything to do with Jimmy Kimmel. Right? Kimmel was on ABC, which is owned by Disney, which is owned by Capital Cities. I don't believe Paramount has anything to do with that. Paramount owns NBC. Father of girls, Paramount owns NBC. Oh, there. Thank you, Maddie. Steve Kennedy, you gotta be kidding me. What is wrong with everybody? Father of girls, the short answer to your question is yes, there most definitely are. And I can't speak to what the Ukrainian countermeasures are. Hey, Flip, how you doing, buddy? Okay, guys, so I have a 2:30 meeting, and oh, Tatiana's early. It's only 10 after 2. So she just texted me that she's here. So I'm going to go take this meeting, and thanks everybody for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. Maybe for the walk home, I'll go live again, and I'll talk to you in a little while. Thanks, everybody. Take care.